All right, what's poppin', party people? We're back for another poppin' episode of Pop Talk. This is your man, Professor Nims. I'm signing on for Coach Dave,
Earth.
Boston Jared.
Peace.
Casual Rand could not join us this week, but we make up the pundits of pugilism. I'm frozen, but I guess I got some bandwidth issues out here. But before we get into our segments, we want to make sure that you like and subscribe. We're still on that push for 1K. Remember, I told y'all we got that Pop Talk t-shirt for you for our 1,000 subscribers. But I don't want to get too long-winded into the preamble because there is a lot of hot news coming off of the skillet for this week. First thing that we want to jump into is a post-fight analysis of the David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade fight.
Post-mortem.
The post-mortem. So we're going to get into it right now. We're going to have a couple of different segments. The first one is we want to kind of give our post-fight analysis of what we saw, what was a little bit surprising for us, and some of the things that we thought that maybe each of the fighters did wrong or was, did correctly in this fight. We're actually going to jump off this segment with Coach Dave because of the pundits that are here. He was closest with his prediction. Just in full transparency, I had picked Benavidez by unanimous decision. Boston Jared had actually picked on Andrade by a KO, and then Coach Dave picked a stoppage within the 8th round. So, Coach, talk a little bit about what you saw between these two fighters that led to your prediction that was almost spot on.
Yeah. So first and foremost, man. I mean, I think Andrade can fight, man. He's decent, bro. But I just think decent. A lot of confused. And here's why I say decent. Though, hear me out. I think I like his hand speed, right? But I think a lot of people confuse, man, this guy's awkwardness, and some of the different angles and stuff that he can punch at, I think people might literally confuse that as, quote,
skill,
talent, skill,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
I'm honestly not trying to take nothing from the guy, but because I always judge a fighter, in comparison to who he's going against. And I just won't fool, bruh, by the mask of this guy's awkwardness against a daggone well-rounded fighter like Benavidez, right? So I think that he had half of the fight game plan that could possibly, do some damage to Benavidez. Meaning, I like that he was on his bike. I like that he was moving. But to be crystal clear, if you ain't willing to sit down on some shots and try to lay some thump on Benavidez, he walking through anything you trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And because he walked through stuff, because that's his style of how he likes to fight, people don't think Benavidez can do anything or fight on the inside. He might be awkward, or he might lack being able to cut the ring off from you. But this dude, man, I'm telling you, can fight inside and out. It just, he just like to get up in that joke and try to bust internal organs. So, number one, I think the whole boxing community has just kind of got lost and the awkwardness of Andrade confused people. Today thought, hey, it's talent, he's this or that. All right. I say number two, when Benavidez did catch up with this guy, that pressure and those punches on that inside, he just was not ready for. I can't even say I can't even say that I blame it on his fatigue, because you got to give Benavidez credit, man. Bruh, he was touching that body.
Ooh.
He was touching that body. And that's what I'm saying right now is the difference. And when I say that fight plan is critical in every engagement in the sport. And I'm gonna keep it just that simple, bro. I'm gonna keep it just that simple. So what I saw and what I knew and have always known from the fights that I legitimately have looked at Andrade on is that people have confused his awkwardness with a set solid talent. But the quality of opponents that he's done that stuff against was nowhere near this or even a Canelo. And me and Boston used to argue all the time. I used to say that boy can't beat Canelo. So that's my take on it, man. I hope that makes sense.
I respect it, and you definitely saw something. I was a little surprised because a lot of people thought that the Olympic class that he came out of, that he was maybe the most talented guy out of that class and whatnot. And and there are some things that people do when you're when you're fast of foot and like fast of hands. A lot of people automatically equate that to skill and stuff. I haven't questioned that at this point, and then I'll kind of come back around. But that's interesting that you put that little nugget out there. But let's go ahead and go to Boston Jarrett. So Boston, you predicted a KO by on Andrade, if I can get it out. Tell us, tell us what you saw in the previous fights for David Benavidez and with Demetrius, and why that led you to that prediction.
Well, the thing that moved me towards Andre, and I mentioned this last week, was the Plant fight. The Plant fight, I thought that Benavidez struggled a lot to catch up with Plant through rounds 1 through 7. I thought Plant was able to dictate the pace of the fight. And I thought Andre would be able to replicate a similar game plan, but I thought he'd be able to do it a lot more efficiently and effectively. And when I say efficiently, I mean as far as conservation of movement and conservation of energy. I thought that Benavidez got hit too much by a lot of those guys that he had been in with. I thought that he relied too much on his size and strength, and he had his size and strength gave him a confidence to walk through shots and be able to take shots. I didn't think he'd be able to take Andrade's best shots. Obviously, wrong on all accounts. And I think that's what this fight at a real basic level boiled down to. Andrade's best shots didn't mean anything close to what Benavidez's best shots meant. As soon as Benavidez was able to land a good, clean, hard shot on Andrade, he fell to pieces. Yeah, and seeing that really made me question, and there were some question marks in my mind about his durability. We've seen guys throughout the history of the sport, guys who skilled guys that had a lot of attributes, but they just didn't have the chin. And we hadn't seen Andrade in there with the caliber of opponent that Benavidez. We've seen him buzzed and dropped by lesser guys. He fell to pieces after Benavidez landed that shot, and he was never ever able to get his legs back. I heard people on some other shows today talking about conditioning and gassing. I don't think it was a matter of that. I think it was that shot at the end of round 4 ruined him for the rest of the fight. And if Benavidez had more time in that 4th round, I think he'd have got him out of there in that 4th round. If that knockdown had occurred sooner, I think he'd have been able to stop Andre. But the shot, I think, occurred with about 10 or 12 seconds left in the round, and Andre was able to escape that round. But yeah, and again, that's what this fight to me boiled down to. One guy was very durable. One guy was big, too strong for the other one. Is what it boils down to. And the skill gap, despite Andre maybe being a little bit more versatile and being able to do a little bit more, Benavidez is also a very skilled guy, and he fought a much more disciplined fight against Andrade than he did against Caleb Plant. And there was a lot going into that Caleb Plant fight for Benavidez, a lot of the out of the ring stuff. There was a lot of back and forth between the two of them, and I think that may have led to Benavidez not adhering strictly to whatever game plan they came up with. I think he wanted to just go out there and stomp a mud hole in this kid's face. And he ended up not being able to execute nearly as well as he executed against Andrade. It was a
Well,
very good game.
particularly early though, early against
Particularly early. He followed Plant around the ring.
Yeah.
He let Plant do what he want off his back foot. Andrade wasn't as back foot heavy as Plant was. He tried to go out there and get respect in a crafty way. I didn't like all the movement, but at the end of the day, guys, I don't think there was any game plan that was going to change the outcome of this fight. I think Benavidez was always going to beat Demetrius Andrade, regardless of what game plan he went out there and executed. A different game plan may have bought him a few more rounds.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I don't think it would have been that beat down. So one is I don't want to take anything away from David Benavidez, but one of the reasons why I was kind of a little bit more with you, Boston. I thought it would be a unanimous decision because of the success that Plant was able to have. And the reason that I didn't think that Andre would win is the fact that from what I've seen, that his legs are not what they used to be. And those are one of the first things that kind of go off. But it wasn't even that necessarily, but it was just I don't think he was that crafty or that slick with his movement. The guy was circling the same direction the whole time. And somebody brought up a good point is that again, David Benavidez is not a master at cutting off the ring.
Right.
So what that means is that he follows fighters. So what happens to people who follow fighters?
You run into shots.
You run into shots. So that's what I thought. I was like, okay, he's gonna run him into a couple of shots. He never did that. I thought that mentally he just broke down way too easily for an former Olympian and somebody who's been in the fight game for the better part of 2-3 decades. And the fact that his inside game was just non-existent.
I don't know about that.
Come on,
I don't know about that.
The guy did not throw any punches on the inside, and like David Benavidez is good, but he is not this like pristine inside fighter. That all he was like, he did this kind of almost kind of an emergency like panic type of like grapple or stuff like that. But he never was able to turn him. I was like, you have no grappling skills for somebody who's 35 years old, has been in the game for this long.
Well, he tried. I mean, he pushed him back a few times in that fight and had him up against the ropes. There's footage out on the internet right now of him landing like 2 or 3 punch combos, an uppercut right through the guard that popped his head up. And then Benavidez just smiles and laughs at him and looks at him and just keeps coming forward.
It broke him. And it broke him. And it just I don't know if the fact that he did it. The guy. I was surprised at one point. I think it was the 4th round, but I was like, he looks broken. Like I'm like, and I was like,
he got punched in the face. His eyeball spun around into the back of his head. Did you see that? Did you see his eyeball start to go?
This is supposed to be one of the boogeymen of boxing. This should not happen.
Cam, he's fighting a guy that's probably going to finish his career at cruiserweight. Demetrius started his career at 154 pounds, man. You look historically at guys who have tried to make that jump from 154 pounds to 168. Look at the guys who have had success. You're talking about some of the all-time great fighters in the history of the sport. Look, Andrade's not that guy. 1, 2, he's fighting probably the best guy in the division. He didn't have the luxury of going up and being able to pick and choose, a second or third fight that might have been not as difficult.
This is hindsight, right? The attributes that I'm putting on to him are the same ones that you thought would knock out Benavidez. So,
which one you talking about?
Just the skill, the mental toughness, the craftiness, the ring IQ. Like those are the things that we automatically attributed to Andre. I think we all thought that he was a smart, clever boxer. And
Not
Yeah,
all.
Cam, and if you can't hurt the guy, Cam, and he
well,
can hurt you,
okay,
that's going to unravel. It don't
what
matter how skilled you are if you can't take a guy's shot.
maybe,
At the end of the day, you got to be able to take a punch.
Maybe because, and I want to throw this at Coach, because Caleb Plant did a lot better than him. And like Caleb Plant is not a massive puncher. He didn't do that. The guy was just slicker. His legs were a lot better. He was able to walk him into stuff. So, Coach, I mean,
I thought Benavidez fought better against Andre than he did against Caleb.
yeah, but sometimes it depends on the opponent, though. Sometimes it depends on the opponent.
What do you mean specifically?
It means like if the opponent is doing things that make you look less of a fighter or whatnot, because I thought Caleb Plant movement was way, way better. Like when Andrade, I thought, because you were saying that he was like kind of sitting down he decided. I was like, I was surprised. And even one of it was on one of the other kind of networks, they were just saying like, well, he's not necessarily kind of dancing around the ring. I just think that his body wouldn't let him do it at this age and this stage of his career.
So much, you mean?
Yeah, have some slick movement. But go ahead, Coach.
Even in the Plant fight, though, man. I mean, I think he beat Plant by a unanimous decision. But you can't. The Joker, you're gonna have to run for them 12 rounds.
Yeah, that's tough to do.
So let's say this, man. Look, your body is your weapon in this sport. So I ain't making no excuse for no cat's, size and where he gonna be and end up at. You fought at X weight. That's the weight you fought at.
He actually weighed more than Benavidez too.
Yeah, and you did
the weigh-in. Yeah.
You do, what I'm getting at, man, is I'm tired of all the hypotheticals and this and that. And look, man, you didn't do what you needed to do to win, bro. And it's a whole thing. It is the fight corner. I'm going right back to when we first started this podcast, bro. Boxing is a holistic thing, bro. Mm. You got to have that holistic approach. They didn't have no fight plan in that thing other than just to move and run. He didn't try to sit down and throw no hard shots or nothing, man. And
you didn't see him sit down and land hard shots, Dave, at all?
Bruh, I'm not saying it's boxing, Jared. I'm not saying, bruh, you just want to defend this Joker.
It's one thing, but like he wasn't physical at all at some, because
bruh, he was
like that's not the fighter. We saw different fights then. We saw
some commentators thought that he might be stronger. I mean, well, I'm not gonna say it was just one, because I mean he looked good at the weigh-in. Andre, he looked good. He looked thick. He looked massive and stuff. But he didn't try to be physical. He didn't try to like walk him back. And
everything got exposed about this guy. And that's what kills me, man. That's what frustrates me. Bottom line of it is, I don't care. Everything about the guy got his body was just a chump. Everything got exposed about this guy, man.
It was just for looks.
And that's the stuff that we got to take a look at. Even, and I'm not trying to go back on anything, but that Earl Spence, bro. I would tell them folks, man, Terrence Crawford is strong. I knew that boy was strong when he was
that guy is
deadlifting. He was deadlifting, bro. He was power cleaning. I saw him in the film. So what I'm getting at is that these fighters get exposed, man, and we still, we still want to make these excuses for these jokers, man. So no, it ain't like Jared. Yeah, it's a boxing match. Yeah, he gonna get hit. Yeah, he gonna do some power shots. Did he throw anything significant and land enough power shots to where I thought Andre fought a good fight, bruh? No, he got exposed, man. That's just it, dude. And he was not ready. And Canelo would have did the same thing to this guy, man.
Yeah, that's a hypothetical that you said you didn't want to get into. That's a hypothetical.
So Boston,
he got lumped up.
I'm not disputing that, but you saying Canelo would have done XYZ. You say you don't want to get into hypotheticals. That's a hypothetical. So Benavidez did what he did, and Canelo did what he does, and avoid challenging and difficult. But that's a hypothetical. We have no idea. Canelo and Benavidez, two totally different fighters. That's a hypothetical.
That's true. But Coach, before you go there, so I want to give Boston the last word, but because y'all are already kind of segueing into our next segment. Let's go ahead and kind of wrap this up, and let's talk about what are the best laid plans for both of these fighters going forward in there. And then, Coach, we'll start off with you because I know you want to kind of talk about these hypotheticals, but let's talk about what these fighters can do going forward.
You want us to do a separate segment though, not the same segment?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
You're gonna hit stop. Oh, okay.